Hey, everybody, welcome to the GMI Rocket Show. Today's episode 90, which is very close to 100, which kind of blows my mind that the show has almost 100 episodes. I'm super excited for today's show. Our guest today is Mikhail Arsentiev, who is the CEO and founder of Skylex. Mikhail is actually also in New York, and he's an immigration attorney turned entrepreneur just like me. So I'm very excited about that particular aspect of it. So Skylex it kind of started out as a mobile chat app that allowed Mikhail and his law firm to, more easily chat with his clients in kind of a secure way via text, right? I mean, how many of us use text all the time to communicate personally and professionally? and since then, it's sort of evolved into, not just a chat app, but really kind of a marketplace where clients or individuals that need immigration help can go use the app, log on, ask immigration questions, get an answer immediately. It's 24/7 immigration answers, and then effectively connect with an immigration attorney through the app. So it's kind of like a marketplace. And since then, it's grown into a little bit more of a CRM platform. And Mikhail is really working on some cool stuff to expand the business, which I'm really excited to get into. So I'm your host, Roman Zelchenko. I am also an immigration attorney turned entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Laborless, which is an H-1B compliance startup, and also GMI Rocket, which is a marketing agency for the immigration industry, and of course, brings you this show. So without further ado, Mikhail, I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm excited to chat about Skylex, and thank you for being here.
Yeah. Hey, Roman. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Of course. And actually, before we get started, I want to say that, 90th episode, and I finally, the GMI Rocket Show actually has a sponsor, which I'm super excited about. And I wanted to announce that here. I'm excited to announce that our sponsor for the GMI Rocket Show is a company called Lex Reception. So Lex Reception, which is funny because Skylex, Lex Reception, the word, Lex in the name. So I want to tell you a little bit about them. So at their core, Lex Reception is actually a legal intake and reception and like client service support company. From answering phone calls to messages in real time and appointments, Lex Reception actually supports clients with like 24/7 legal specialists. And they're not lawyers, but they do work with immigration law firms and provide that service to them. And what that means is the lawyers that use them just don't have to worry about missing phone calls again or missing messages. Lex Reception also offers an outbound service. So they can proactively reach out to prospective clients who contact your firm through a form or otherwise, and then are waiting for you to get back to them, and so you can get back to them right away. And Lex Reception has integrations with Clio, Practice Panther, etc. So they'll work with you to streamline, alongside your practice. And as a sponsor of the show, they're offering all new clients $250 off their first month of service. So thank you to Lex Reception for sponsoring the show. If you're listening, please, I put a link in the show description, so check them out there. Or if you just go to their website, lexreception.com, say you heard about them from GMI Rocket Show, you'll get that discount too. So now,
thank you, Lex Reception.
Yeah, thank you, Lex Reception. I'm excited. So on with the show. Mikhail, New York lawyers, immigration lawyers turned, saw a problem, right? Both you and I with something we were doing or an inefficiency, and decided to build something. But before we get there, I really love to dig into the client, the guest's like backstory. I know you immigrated to the U.S. And you ended up attending law school here. Can you talk a little bit about, sort of where you grew up, how you grew up, like what brought you to America, I suppose, to become an attorney? What was that immigration story for you?
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, my immigration story is based on education. So I grew up in Russia, and then I just wanted to check out the precedence-based system of law. So I came to Washington D.C. and I studied at the GW, George Washington University Law School.
Now, so you grew up in Russia. Did you go to university in Russia as well?
Yeah, I went to a university in Russia too.
Okay, and you studied law or some kind of legal?
Right, it was like pre-law law. Yeah.
So did you always know that you wanted to be an attorney, basically? I mean, since you
Uh,
were
yeah, actually, yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer, one way or another, since I was 12 years old. Yeah, really wanted
wow.
to.
All right,
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I would love to say the same thing, but I kind of went to law school because I found it interesting, but I didn't have lawyers in my family. I didn't really know what it would be about. So can you
Okay.
share a little bit? How did that, passion come for you?
Well, it's from my dad. I came from a family of lawyers. So
Nice.
my dad is a lawyer. My uncle, my cousins, my second cousins, and we all,
Wow.
yeah, and we all went to the same university to start with. And yeah, my dad is really big on the presumption of innocence, and my passion is that Sixth Amendment, where any person deserves legal representation or a counsel.
Mm.
So, and yeah, and then I just wanted to be a lawyer. I mean, either a judge or a prosecuting attorney or an investigator. So that really was cool, and mm, yeah, just I didn't even have to pick the profession. Always wanted that. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Did you and so I guess in parallel to that, when you were younger, did you feel like you also wanted to be a business person at all? I mean, now with Skylex, and of course we'll get to it.
Hmm.
You've built what started up as an app, but now you're really expanding what the business offers in general.
Hmm.
So you clearly have sort of this entrepreneurial mindset where you see a problem and you want to solve it, and then you feel that you want to do the solving. You don't want to wait for someone else to do it. Did you ever
Right.
have that, when you were younger, selling anything or fixing things or whatever?
Yeah, I also I would say that this comes from like the engineering part of my family because my
Mm.
mom is an engineer and I want to solve things in a new way. So I just want to assemble something, reassemble, and like disassemble and assemble it in a different way so it works differently, kind of thing. Yeah,
Do you feel like were you one of those kids who took apart,
yeah, I was the one.
electronics? Yeah.
Everything, yeah, I'd take everything out and then electronics, bicycles, roller skates, anything, toys, whatever you can
Yeah. It's so interesting
put apart.
because you'd think that if that's what you were doing, you would probably want to be an engineer when you were growing up.
Yeah, and
Um,
and then yeah. So well, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then when later on when I started practicing and I saw some things with the legal industry, and I really wanted to engineer something, and that's a lot of what I'm doing now when
mhm,
building a system architecture mostly for the app.
mhm. Yeah. Okay. So it's like, yeah, it was kind of like leaning into those various aspects of your
Hmm.
background and the passions. When I was a kid, I also took things apart, and actually, I had the computer somehow. My family, when we got a computer when we moved here to the U.S., we eventually got a computer at some point, and the computer ended up in my bedroom somehow. I don't know if my parents did that because they wanted me to learn computers I think that would be the reason. Otherwise, they should put it in the living room or something.
Hmm.
But I ended up, you know, coding, like learning how to code websites and taking things apart and putting it together. And when I started law school, and then looked at my debt and then looked at, what folks get out of college as software engineers, I thought to myself, oh, I should have probably stuck with the web development.
Hmm.
But it's cool how, like, as kids we're curious and we put things, we have, as long as we have an environment that allows us to sort of break things or potentially break things, try to figure out how to put them back together. It doesn't have to lead to a job in engineering, like you've shown, right? It can be
Hmm.
any other career, but you still have the mindset of, okay, why is this working the way it is? And then when you get the answer, you ask the next question, which is, can it be better? Can it somehow be better?
Right, for sure. Mhm.
So I'm curious too. Okay, so you grew up um, in Russia. You had lawyers, engineers in the family. You had a desire to become an attorney. Um, why America? Like, why did you decide to want to be a lawyer here?
Mhm. Just it was quite random. I was here for the just traveling, and I checked out. I was in DC, I just checked out the requirements and what I needed to get done to apply for law school, and then I did apply, and then I went back, and then I was accepted, and I did 4 applications in 4 different law schools. So yeah,
Wow.
just nothing really, nothing specific, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's great. I mean, obviously it's a good opportunity. There are tons of
Yeah.
great law schools, and DC is a wonderful place to be a lawyer. So what was that immigration process like for you? I mean, I'm assuming that the school took care of it. I'm assuming you came here on an F1 student visa.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah.
So, but you moving here, it's one thing to travel to the US. It's another thing to obviously be from somewhere else. You obviously lived a good chunk of your life back home with family and friends and everything.
Mhm.
How was that for you, moving here and sort of starting from scratch in a way?
So yeah, I compared to some of our refugee clients who are
Right.
really starting from scratch. I was an F1 at a really great law school, and then I graduated, and I had this OPT for 1 year. So I found a job uh, as a law clerk at first. So and then I started working there, and then I got an H1B. So and then I was working as an H1B and after that I just I did the EB2 perm as an attorney. So
Amazing. And
yeah,
did you do your own, by the way?
yeah, I did my
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool. And so but how is if you remember, I mean, was it did you find it difficult to come and sort of start here? And you have to make friends. You're in this
Yeah.
other new country, and
Well, it was difficult, definitely, and what I really found interesting, this curve system that they use in law
Mm.
school to grade, because I always thought of myself as like the smartest kid around and all that, and then here I am in the room, and I thought I'm the dumbest ever, because they're like the best of the best. I thought I've never met people so smart, and then everyone you meet, every single classmate that you have is like brilliant in something, and then they would know Latin, or they would know some international law, or used to work for some big companies or whatever. So they were all really, really smart and bright. So that part was really humbling,
Hmm.
very humbling. Yeah, yeah. But after law school, though, I was the first one to get a job, so that was really great.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, let's see what else was there. So it was just it was very difficult to find a job that would potentially file an H1B for you. That was
Right.
also an issue, and then getting EB2 sponsorship, that was also tough. So it was difficult, yeah. But again, compared to some folks who just really have to start from scratch, I started from basically step 3 or 4, because I just actually was employed as a lawyer. So not didn't have to start from doing any kind of like a blue collar work or anything
Hmm.
tough like that.
Yeah, definitely. Did you get employed as an immigration lawyer right away, or did you do
It, w-
something
it,
else when you
it was
started?
a law clerk at first, because I
Right.
didn't have the bar. So
Right.
yeah, but then when I uh, was admitted to practice, then I became an attorney.
Got it. And it's been immigration since the beginning, or were you
Yes,
doing anything else? Okay.
I have not been doing anything else. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. I know it's really interesting when I come across other immigration attorneys that file their own,
yeah,
immigration paperwork. Because you've been your own client, you've been the service provider and the client at the
yeah,
same time. Was because this was before, well, I don't know. This was about 10 or so years ago, or
yeah.
11 or so.
Right.
Was the H-1B cap, I mean, a huge issue back then as well, or not as bad as it is
It was
for
not as
you?
bad as it is
Yeah.
now, but because yeah, we have this 20,000 people who are set aside with supposed like masters, higher
Right.
level degrees. So yeah,
Right.
it was an issue, but I was accepted right away.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
very great. Yeah, because that was, I think, before the STEM extension too.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and well, actually, you weren't even
I
in a STEM.
right. I'm
So,
not qualified.
so you had one chance, basically, one
Yeah,
year to do it. Wow, that's fantastic. I love talking to folks that got their H-1B, 20 or so years ago, and they applied in August and they got
yeah.
it a week later. It was
Hmm.
uh, it's I can't even imagine that right now, given how much of a headache the H-1B process is. So okay, so you worked, at this firm. You were obviously doing immigration law. You were working through your own immigration process. Um, how long before you broke out onto your own to start your own practice?
About 5 years.
Okay, and what I guess prompted you to do that?
Well, uh, I just wanted to do more in terms of immigration. I feel like in our field, a lot of law firms are compartmentalized. So they're just only do H-1B and perms, or they only do asylums, or they only do detention and deportation. And I just wanted to do to serve every client that could do immigration. And I really got interested in the entertainment immigration, as
Mm,
we call it. So P visas. It's a huge field. Not many people know about it, that it even exists. But yeah, we were doing a lot of concerts for different folks, doing
mm,
P1 and P3 visas, and yeah, that I enjoy doing that. And also really working for some small folks who are doing J1s, some all of those agencies like that, and students with doing change of status. And yeah, so just always wanted to have like a full scale immigration practice, where just one stop things, where we can serve everything, even now, when we starting from B1 B2 visa preparation,
right.
which is important as well, because most law firms don't want to do DS 160,
Right.
filling out and preparing them for interviews. So, but I think it's important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the entryway for many, many,
Mhm.
many people
Exactly. Yeah.
every year into the U.S., and you don't
Yeah.
want to mess it up, and you don't want to feel unprepared to go to the border and all that.
Right. Right. Especially with recently with the Prince Harry applications. There was, yeah,
Right.
but some things like that they can find that were go back many years ago, when in the some application you put certain thing, and which didn't ended up to be not true. And we also had some N400s denied based on that, because back then they put that they were married but not single, or single but not married, or whatever, and they found it to be inaccurate.
Mm, wow. What strikes me about it is, and maybe this is just you're being very nonchalant about it, but
Mhm.
starting your own practice is scary. It's hard. Starting your own business is hard, and I'm curious. It's obviously it sounds like um, you wanted to do more, but it takes a certain level of confidence that you can do more, right? That you can go on and learn different and new types of visa categories, etc. I'm curious, especially for those who are listening, frankly for me as well, because I think we're always kind of trying to grow and find
Mhm.
passion somewhere. What do you think kind of allowed you to feel that you can do it? You know what I mean? And like thinking about what you would say to somebody right now who's at a firm and saying, I kind of want to start my own practice, but I'm scared or I don't know where to start or something like that.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting question. So first, I would say that when I was having lunch in different places, they're often run by immigrants, or
Mm,
lunches were served by immigrants. And then I found myself actually having a free lunch, because I would go and then I would ask for food, but it's like, oh, you really helped me with your legal advice, because I would give free consultations to them, not right on the spot, but they would come to our office. And then I just kind of felt like people really, like and trust me, and want to hear something from me personally. Yeah,
mm,
and that build up my confidence, as you just put, that I can be trusted, that people trust me, and then and they rely on my advice. Yeah,
mhm.
and this is from ephemerical, so to speak, point of view. But the other point was actually having some cash saved up, just to having something that knowing that you can last for at least a couple of months. That's important for sure. And then really maybe doing some research on marketing,
Yep.
or like have a great partner like you, where you
Yeah.
know that you can get some clients. And I would say that having a client, and or bringing some client from your law firm, that's an absolute no. But just having some connections, that where you would, or at least a plan what I was doing actually, which no, I was going to different like educational facilities and giving presentations, and I'm always into. I like offline, not online
Mhm.
as well. So I mean, combination is great, but actually having some connections with some people, and it doesn't have to be like the head of the World Bank or anything like that, but just some person who runs a small language school or a small kindergarten, and I'm actually, I was bringing a lot of new folks into our clientele. So I'm an expert on bringing people who have never filed EP3s
Mm.
because they don't know they exist, who never filed H2Bs or H1Bs or use the J1 internship programs because they just don't know. They never hired OPT people because they didn't know that they could do it, things like that. So, and once you bring them into the um, uh, into the business, then they really trust you and they can stay with you for years.
Yeah, that's great. Especially, something like language schools, for example. It's a great idea. If it's an adult language schools, then maybe the people who are attending are potentially in need of some immigration help. But then the
Exactly.
school itself, they may want to hire people who speak those languages, and well, okay, but they're an immigrant. Can I hire them? And you're right, the J1 and OPT. I mean,
Uh,
these are all options,
and the key here, Roman, is the students. Students
right?
have I-20s and they always work somewhere illegally, but and then they want TB3s filed for them, and
Right.
also they want to change their status into something. They get married, they get employment. Life is happening for them, so they always need help.
Yeah, and the idea, of course, is nobody wants to work in a way that risks their immigration status. And but many people, I think sometimes immigration lawyers, we live in a bubble. We think everyone's an immigration lawyer because that's who our friends and colleagues are. But
Yeah,
truly speaking, there aren't that many of us, and most people by far do not know any immigration lawyers at all.
yeah, right.
I haven't practiced for 10 years, and I still have people coming to me saying, "Can I ask you a question?" And I say, "Look, I can point you in the direction of somebody who can answer it. That's what I can do." But then I think to myself, it's been 10 years, since I practiced. You haven't met one immigration lawyer? Just go to an AILA conference. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But that's awesome, and that's really good advice too. I think too for folks who are thinking about starting their own practice. Um, think about what you already have. What language do you speak, maybe, or what community are you part of, or maybe even like you said, locally, what's nearby? Maybe there's a community center nearby, or
Yeah.
a church that has events, or a language school, or something.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I want to say something that may not be conventional. What I found that people, if you don't speak the language of like the other community that you want to enter to, uh, I found it very often to be the case that people don't trust their own immigration
Hmm.
lawyers because
Interesting.
they say we don't, and then I've heard it many times. Okay, we want to talk to you because we don't trust our people. We don't trust our immigration lawyer because they don't respond. They cheat on us. Their prices are too high. They don't treat us well, because we're simple people. But in some cultures, a lawyer is like a different caste,
Mm.
and then when we give the same treatment to everyone, they keep coming back.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's a really good point. And you know what? The cultural differences aside, a good lesson here is just always treat every single client with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I, I,
sometimes
I
they bring their own translator or on the
right.
phone or personal. They just say, I want to talk to you. And then, yeah, and I will find someone. I'm bringing a buddy who will translate if I don't understand something. So that may
Yeah,
not be.
that's awesome. So okay, so you're practicing. You started your own firm. You're obviously growing your business, getting different clients in the door. Sports immigration. It sounds like working with students, working with small businesses in the area. Um, what you know like, were you tech savvy? I mean, I know you said you had sort of an engineering inclination and such. you know were you running into a problem that eventually led to the creation of Skylex, or were you always thinking to yourself like, okay, I love being a lawyer, but I want to do something more? Like, how did the idea come about?
Well, just my boss once came to the office, and he it looked like he was really sleepy because he said at night he was just dealing with some important client who was overseas, and then they just thought, okay, well, there has to be a service that would provide legal advice 24/7 if you don't know the immigration lawyer personally. And even if you do, there's no way you would have that person get up at night to pick up your phone call. And the technology is already there. I mean, it's obvious. There's so many different technologies that can give you a notification, and that with the when the application would work with the internet connection anywhere. So why not create the actual service? The supply is there, and the demand is also there. I just wanted to connect the two.
So this is when you were still practicing at the other firm, or
Yeah.
when you already okay. And the idea here, just so I can try to paraphrase it or understand it, the idea was that your boss, clearly working in the middle of the night, not something that any of us want to do. And your thought was, the reason he had to get up and do that because the client thought that only your boss is the one who can answer his questions in the middle of the night.
Well, there was the case, because nobody else would answer that, because there's no service that provides that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because the firm is in New York or wherever, it's in the US, and that's the timing.
Yeah.
And so you thought, why can't that client, even though he's our client, why can't he just, if he has a question, just ask it?
Yeah, but I'm thinking of a different person who is in the same situation, because if our client is in that situation, there gotta be thousands of other people.
And the situation is wherever you are, whenever
whatever
you
that
are.
is, some kind of you don't get boarded on the flight to the US because they're showing that your advance parole is no good, or your visa is something is wrong with that, or whatever. Yeah, or just some fear is a big factor. Yeah, too.
And so the idea would be that, like, your thought at the time was that person who has a question just come up suddenly should be able to, instead of trying to say, oh God, I need a lawyer, where do I even start? Go on Google, start asking around. They have an app or something that allows them to just ask that immigration question.
Right. First, that allows them to ask that immigration question, and then keep that lawyer in your pocket, so to speak. When they get to the US, or if there's any other situation that arises, they can still get the phone out and just type a question and get an answer.
Okay. So you came up with this idea then. So what did you do? You quit your job on the spot and you hired engineers and you built the app, right?
Well, I was just thinking, and then I started from the wrong part, which is IP. And and as Elon Musk says, patents are for losers. So I totally agree with that. That the IP that where I started, and then looked into the patent applications, and spent some money on the patent lawyers. And then I was just really drawing the system, trying to understand what exactly it has to be, whether it has to be just a service, a phone line, or like a website with some features. And then eventually we get into the actual mobile application, a native application that would work on both platforms. I was thinking about it, and then slowly, I just quit and then started building a platform.
So you quit your job, but then, so did you launch your firm at the same time as saying, I would like to start, at the same time as build a platform?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Which goes against, well, I suppose you had some savings. I mean, you had some money saved up where you thought, I can invest some time and energy into building this thing. And also I should be my own boss and take on some immigration clients because, I need to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're interested in that, I just had a rental property that I always knew I could sell, and to fund all my endeavors. And that's what I did. And I sold the rental property, and I got cash. Yeah.
Wow. So you cashed out of your own real estate asset in order to basically prop up this business.
Yeah.
That's a big risk. I mean, that's a big risk to take.
For sure, yeah.
Wow. So tell me, so how did it go in the very, the beginning? You started building this out. So let's say we get past the IP lawyers and you're starting to, you put together the architecture and you're saying, okay, I need to start building it. What did you do? Did you hire developers or did you have a friend or a co-founder? How did you go about doing it?
So developers, and unfortunately,
I actually I lost you there. Sorry, your audio. Sorry. There you
go. That's bad. It's bad.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, no. So I was saying, like, did you start off with a development team, or a co-founder? Yeah.
No, with the development team, and unfortunately, what I found, Roman, it's a big problem that everyone says to you, "Show me what to build, and I'll build it." And I thought if you find a good engineer or like a development company, that IT development company that would do that for you, that they would actually come up with.
Sorry, I think I lost you again. I think the earpods may just not be working. Maybe we just switch to the computer audio. I think that's okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You want to try one more time before we switch to the computer, maybe? Because
it's okay. I think the computer's okay.
Is it okay now?
The computer is fine. We could just go with the computer audio.
Okay. How about now?
All right. Yes.
Okay, finally.
Yeah.
Excellent. I was just saying that there is no way, unfortunately, to find a team that where you give them an assignment and you tell them, this is what I want you to build. You figure out the system, you figure out the system architecture and build it. They say, give me the exact plan and then I will build it for you. Give me the blueprints, whatever that is. And then so I had to get into that and actually do it myself in consultation with different specialists to figure out the right system. So.
And right, because a simple, a company that expects you to give them everything, you need a partner. You need a development partner. You don't just need, sort of people only implementing. You need them to think through this idea with you and help you build it out from a screen perspective. So you
never found a contractor who were able to do that, actually. So there was always several different pieces that I had to put together as a project manager.
Okay. So okay, so like putting together the business requirements, for example, and then talking to the design team and then the development team and things like that.
Yeah. Design team, development team, and then designer is saying, okay, show me what to draw, and the developers are saying, show us the design at least, and we'll build it. So it's always like, and it's still
well, listen, and that's the challenge of software, right? Everyone thinks that you can just flip a switch and build the tool, but the reality is that there's a quite long, life cycle there. So when you built that first, product, can you share a little bit about what was Skylex in the beginning? What was it, just for you, or was it, something that you thought from day one could be a bigger tool that connects people to many different lawyers, et cetera?
Yeah, we were connecting lawyers from day one, basically. Yeah, it was just like a status notification feature with the button to message as well. So it was like when you start working, you flip the switch and then the clients show that it's green now, and then they can basically call you that you're available. That's how it started. And then if you're on the call or if you're out of the office, you just it's automatically would switch as an off switch, and then it shows gray, and then the clients that log in, they can see that you're not available.
Okay. And how were you getting the clients from the beginning? And sort of what were they asking for? What was the kind of service or help that they were looking for?
All kinds of broad general immigration questions. How do I get a visa? How do I get a visa extended? B1, B2 extended, F1. Change of status is a lot of change of statuses. Fiance, I got married to a US citizen? What do I do? I have a girlfriend that I met online in a different country. What do I do? Yeah, questions like that.
And how are you getting these initial clients? Just word of mouth, or were you?
And mostly the search engine optimization, just through that, and a little bit of Google Ads.
Okay. Wow. Cool. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, because general immigration questions, I mean, millions of people have them. And so to be able to find them, cool. So you built out this product. It was sort of a status notification and allows you to connect with attorneys that were available for people who it sounds like had really and this, by the way, this was U.S. immigration, right? I mean, this is specifically.
And it was only on the website at first. It was
Got it.
Okay. Web application.
Got it. So what was that sort of, what happened where you decided to, or continued to grow, or maybe pivot the product where it wasn't just, connecting notification, but it was, that became a calendar where they can set up a consultation with the attorney, kind of a CRM. I mean, all the things that the product does today. Talk a little bit about how, Skylex grew from that initial stage, that first version to kind of where it is now.
Yeah, so I just wanted, I was on the go more, out of the office, chasing clients, and I wanted a solution that was in my phone, basically. Something there, the clients would not know that I'm not in the office. Something that would create the semblance of me being in the office, really attentive to them, even though I could be somewhere else in a different time zone, in a different office, or like just a different place, a different city. And then we just build that system where, in other words, where when the clients know, when they call your office, that nobody would say, okay, he's not available, he's not around, or whatever. Yeah, it's just, and then we built a system on a mobile application where we have all our clients now, and they text, and they don't know where the person is, if he's working from home. I mean, if he's an attorney or a paralegal, working from home or from the office or from a vacation or whatever, as long as the legal professional responds, the clients are happy.
Yeah, which of course is perfect in today's sort of digital nomad kind of world, with so many lawyers that work from the beach or from their cabin, in the upstate New York or whatever.
Yeah, I think it got more socially accepted now than before, like 2020. Back then, especially like in the DC culture, in New York, then your clients will always want you to be there wearing a suit and a tie.
Did you find it difficult? I mean, I'm sure it was easy to get clients to be interested. Did you find it difficult to get lawyers to say, yeah, I'd like to be on this, kind of marketplace, if you will, and offer my services?
Sure. Yeah. It was very difficult, definitely, especially for lawyers to really to keep using the platform, for a long time. Yeah, that was tough at first.
Do you find that once they got some sort of, they got an inquiry from somebody that wouldn't have found them otherwise, they said, oh, wait a minute, maybe this works, and maybe
Yeah, that's the case. And also when they hire a paralegal somewhere remote, that's when they find it so much easier to use our platform, because they don't have to provide anything to the paralegal. They don't even need to create a new email address. They just need to create the account, and that paralegal needs to create an account in our platform. And then, but most importantly, when the paralegal quits unexpectedly, or is sick or whatever, with our system, it's really easy to get another paralegal or a lawyer to attend to the clients via our simple group chats.
That's interesting. So does that mean, and maybe this is a difficult question, or I hope I'm wording it correctly, but if I have a relationship with my attorney and then I have a question, are you saying that if that attorney's out, the app will connect me with somebody else that day to answer the question? But do I now have a relationship with two attorneys rather than just, the one that I was talking to before?
I mean, the way we solve it, we just have a simple group chat. So an attorney always has a paralegal assigned to the case in the group chat, and everyone sees each other's messages, like on Slack, like on Microsoft Teams, and it makes it so much easier. The client can see who responds to the messages, but the paralegals can always put out the fires or make a response. And if there is some kind of an issue that the paralegal cannot solve, then the paralegal can just put a different lawyer into the group chat, or a senior paralegal who is not assigned to the case, and do it that way.
Interesting. So it's almost
connected outside of that.
Got it. So it's almost like there's just a team that's there to support you. Right. That's interesting. That's interesting. And I saw the app, it kind of looks like WhatsApp. So it's a very friendly interface. It kind of makes you feel like a tool that and are familiar with. So I guess today, Skylex is, and by the way, I'm assuming, can you just share a little bit about the name? I mean, some names are more obvious, but I'm just curious, like, how'd you come up with that?
Well, Lex is pretty obvious for us, and then Sky, I was thinking a cloud, just like lowering the cloud, lowering the sky, where we're all connected, and then anyone can find a lawyer regardless of where that person is in the world, just with the internet connection.
Yeah, the answers are coming from heaven. Answers are coming from the sky. They're legal answers. So as you've continued to grow the business, I know one thing we spoke about, prior to our conversation today is you've sort of, it sounds to me like you're trying to solve this problem for individuals who have questions and, would really like, or sometimes really need an answer right away. But then you're also sort of thinking about, how do I help the immigration law, my colleagues who are immigration lawyers, by, this way you connect them with folks through your app, you give them this sort of mobile, means of communicating, of scheduling, consultation. So it's kind of like you're trying to support the legal industry in general. One thing I think that's really interesting is you mentioned you've moved, or I guess you've added, in addition to this digital offering, a sort of, in-person offering, if you will. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's really cool, and I feel like it'd be interesting to share.
Yeah, sure. So the main thing is, we offer like a 24/7 paralegal support through the app, and we built the features that are really easy for immigration lawyers to get a consultation through, and then get that consultation paid, and then have notes for the lawyers, all those little CRM features that you mentioned. And we have all the WhatsApp features, like voice messages, where clients can record a voice message, and then if you respond to a client, you just can record an actual voice message as opposed to typing a long email. And then a document exchange is there, and then you can make a note on every client quickly. So when the client calls, or you can see the status like really, really quickly, like within a second. And the last part, we also build a lawyer's profile, which are really cool and succinct, similar to LinkedIn profiles. This also builds more trust with clients when they see the profile of the lawyer, with the picture there, with the background and the specialty. In addition to that, we have a infrastructure of 6 offices across the U.S., with the immigration paralegals actually sitting in each office full time. So our clients, our lawyers, immigration lawyers, can boost their practice that way, so they can have access to our offices with everything in there, like the conference room and a private office separate from the conference room. They can use the conference room to meet with the client, and the private office to work. And there is a printer, internet, everything, whatever a lawyer would need, and an immigration paralegal to support the lawyer.
Yeah, I feel like that to me is so cool, and I've never heard of that before. It's like a WeWork, but specifically for immigration lawyers, that comes built in with some of these, things that you might only have if you have your own office. But so many immigration lawyers, especially solos, are, and I don't even want to say younger attorneys, really anybody who breaks off on their own, they may not have those things. They don't work out of an office. They work from home. They probably have a printer because of the nature of immigration law, but they don't have a paralegal. They don't have a conference room that they can have a meeting in. And
they often don't have an email address because it looks bad, like say, attorneyjohn@gmail.com.
right.
They need that actual, and then the website and the phone number, right? Because attorneys, we hate giving out our cell phone numbers, right? So
Right.
our system hides it all. When you log into and become an attorney with Skylex, it really, you get all the infrastructure, not just the office for sure, but also just that professional look with an assistant, with a paralegal, with the 24/7 support line, and with this infrastructure for a document exchange as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it just makes attorneys look hip and cool right away.
What cities are you in? Just for folks who are listening or watching, so that they would.
Yeah, so we are in San Francisco, Sacramento, and Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
Miami, New York, but Brooklyn, and Cincinnati.
Right. Yeah. So, and basically the idea would be that you can have a few lawyers in each location. They can share that space.
Yeah.
I mean, meaning across the day, maybe not at the same time, but throughout the day, throughout the week. Yeah, that's really cool. And I guess your target. I don't want to say your target client, because with the marketplace, you really are supporting both, again, individuals, and you're creating some opportunities for immigration attorneys and paralegals. What do you think that you need for, to bring the business to the next step? Is it like investment, or is it more attorneys, or is it, more exposure to individuals? Kind of, what is it that you think is on the kind of, the business goal roadmap right now?
Well, we would welcome new attorneys. We have the capacity to take some more in each of our location. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else we're fine on.
That's great. Do you find that you have more sort of demand right now for legal help than supply of people that can answer those questions sometimes?
Yes, we definitely do. And yeah, again, we have some clients that are, so we have about 1,000 downloads a month for our app, and
Nice.
this year in 2023 we have 5,100 inquiries that we responded, and we addressed and sent them to different lawyers. So yeah, we definitely have more that we can spare.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I feel like obviously the idea there is, as you continue to grow from a demand perspective, the argument, or I guess it's a no-brainer, right? For attorneys to say, okay, there's lingering and known demand for my services. I don't know who those people are, but they are in Skylex and they're asking questions, and I should be there to answer them.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have a comment here. Manny Sandoval says, having a hub like this without paying for all the overhead of brick and mortar is extremely valuable, and the technology piece of what you provide is incredible. So it's an impressive platform. Wow, thank you, Manny. And Manny is from Lex Reception, and obviously, their goal is very aligned with yours, right? Which is helping immigration attorneys, scale with some of these things that they definitely need as a service, but they're not going to hire a full-time paralegal maybe if they aren't available. So they go with Skylex. They may not have the need or ability to hire a full-time, receptionist or intake person, and so they use a service like Lex Reception. I feel like this ecosystem is great because so many solos and even small attorneys that have one or two or three attorneys, small law firms that have two or three attorneys, they often, because I've talked to many of them, they find themselves wanting to grow, but they're not big enough to really hire individuals, get a sales team. But they're also, they're drowning, right? And they can't keep up with work. And the last thing you want to do as an attorney, frankly, the last thing you can do as an attorney is not do a good job on a case, right? Because you're too busy. I mean, you can't do that. You have an attorney responsibility to provide, fiduciary responsibility to provide a really good, highest level that you possibly can. And so I think sometimes attorneys don't think about how much a receptionist or how much, a simple chat function versus hours of back and forth emails or something can make their work more streamlined and easier and faster. I feel like they don't like that. That's something that I think is really powerful. And that's why I love this show. And I love bringing on people like you to share what you're building so that people can get an understanding of, if I can gain 10% efficiency with a receptionist that's, outsourced, and I can use a tool that stuff comes to my, my phone, and I don't have to go back and lose an hour going driving to the office to respond, and all these other things, people can grow their firm without hiring more full-time staff, and can truly help more people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes also, when they don't know how to file a certain petition, they have someone to ask.
Like almost like a mentorship.
Yeah,
in a way.
In a way, yeah. And then, as you know, paralegals are often very, very knowledgeable. And yeah.
I learned, when I started practicing, the training I got was from the senior paralegal that, maybe quote unquote supported me, but realistically I supported them. Like it was not, just because I was a lawyer by name doesn't mean I knew anything. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So, and that's interesting because if Skylex provides, especially with this office setup, you have a paralegal there, you're kind of walking into somebody who has just their brain, or, they have all this experience and knowledge about immigration law. And you could leverage each other for certain things. That's really cool. So thank you, Manny, for that comment. So I guess, as we wrap it up here, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the future of Skylex and maybe immigration technology in general? Obviously, you're going down the path of, mobile chat, which is, I have younger cousins who you'll never find them searching for anything on a computer. They're on their phone. They're probably on social media searching via TikTok. So human behavior is changing. Where do you feel Skylex is going in that direction, and I guess in general immigration tech?
Yeah, well, we are making many features for lawyers easier. So we are integrating the payment plans that are so much easier to chase clients for payments. Yeah, that's one thing that we're doing, and obviously we're also doing automate, like working with the chatbots and that integration. So every lawyer on our platform can easily like tweak it in terms of the responses that the lawyer wants to show to the clients when the lawyer is not available. One thing, and also we have an office in the metaverse too that our users can use.
All right, you got to tell me about that. That's so cool. So how does that work?
It's really cool because when we have our meetings with clients, and in our internal meetings, the team meetings in metaverse, and it's quite cool because you can see how the team members like really, they can pick different avatars there and different clothes, and so when we're with each other as avatars, running around the office and having meetings there, that's really cool. This is something that I don't know how to explain it, but it's a different dynamic of a call. Yeah. And then with clients too, when you just say, okay, if you want, we can have a consultation in metaverse. It's just the sound is there, the avatar is there. You can do a little presentation. It's just it's interesting. I wouldn't say there is a lot of functional capacity there. Something that is like, oh, I can't live without it. But it's something different, because then you can say, oh, my lawyer did a consultation.
Yeah.
Metaverse.
Totally. If you want to talk about the best way to get a word of mouth recommendation, that's doing a metaverse consultation with a client and them telling all of their friends that you guys wouldn't believe this.
Yep.
What are you? Are you in Roblox? Or are you in the Meta's the Oculus VR space?
It's a smaller metaverse. And we have that office there, and it's on the computer. It's essentially like a video game. And then it's our actual office that we built there, like inside a video game, basically. Our work was there, separate offices, and when you log in, you just pop up in the middle of the office, and anything you say there, it's just other people can hear, just like a video game, basically.
Yeah. What platform do you use for it, if you can share?
Yeah, it's called DexArt.
DexArt. Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. That's very, very cool. Is there any integration between Skylex and the metaverse? I guess you can probably set up a consultation within the app and then have that consultation in the metaverse.
Right. So that part, and also once we're building the our automated response system will be one. Basically, this the chatbot itself is going to be working the same way in the metaverse. If when you log in and ask questions, the same as in the app in our support chat.
You should have like I'm thinking of Wii Boxing or something, where if you do something that annoys the client, you guys can do like a 5-minute metaverse boxing match or something like that. They can take out their frustration on the immigration process by beating you up in the metaverse. In the metaverse.
If we get a USCIS officer there, that they
right.
Yeah, we can do it that way.
That's awesome. I love that. I really hope that more people do it. I've run an immigration marketing conference for 3 years in the metaverse. It was run on a platform called Gather. Gather.town, really cool. Same thing. It looks like a old 2D Mario game or something, but you walk around and there are booths and you interact with people. There were sessions, and it's really fun. And there was a learning curve, for people who attended, for sure. But once they got it, it felt so natural because you have your avatar, you walk up to people, you have a conversation about a thing you would have a professional, do in a professional conference, but it's on your computer. It's awesome.
And then, as you said, but when you have like a younger person or a kid do it, it's just second nature for them. They just log in. They need no explanation. They know exactly where to go and what to do.
Which is smart, because eventually the kids will grow up, become adults, and they'll marry somebody or they'll have immigration questions. And obviously that's a long-term play as a business. But if you're there and you establish yourself there, as being there in the beginning, I think that kind of thing can pay a ton of dividends. Really, really cool. So I have one more question for you, but before we get there, I just want to take a moment to, again, just thank Lex Reception for sponsoring this episode. In case folks didn't hear, I'll do a somewhat shorter version, but I want to share that Lex Reception, they are legal intake, reception, and client support service. They provide 24/7 legal specialists that provide answers to your questions as a law firm, which means you're not missing phone calls, you're not missing messages. They do outbound services where if someone reaches out to your law firm through your inquiry form, they can follow up with them. And they have tech integrations with Clio, Practice Panther, LawPay, Lawmatics, and others. So if you're a firm that has your own tech platform or you use one of these, you can integrate with them. So for folks, immigration lawyers or other professionals that are interested, they are offering $250 off of your first month of service with Lex Reception because you listen to this show, and I'm grateful. They're grateful. So check them out. There's a link in the description of this show, wherever you're watching it or listening to it. Or if you just reach out to Lex Reception on their website, lexreception.com, and you talk to one of their salespeople, tell them you heard about them from the GMI Rocket Show, and you'll get that $250 off. So thank you, Lex Reception. All right, Mikhail, your final question, a little bit different, but you've shared where you came from, what you've done so far. Obviously, how Skylex, the companies are so close in name today. How Skylex has grown over the years, and obviously these really cool things like this kind of WeWork model for immigration lawyers and a metaverse office. What's like the most recent piece of advice that you've been where you are today that you've been taking to heart and following as you've continued to grow your business? And I asked that question because I think throughout our journey as business people, different advice is kind of activated at different portions of our journey. In the beginning, it might be, don't be scared, just put it out there. You have a good idea. But now that's not relevant because we've already put it out there. Now there's different advice. So I'm wondering, what's the most recent advice that you're kind of following now for where you are in your journey that you can share with us so that, others can hopefully learn from that as well?
It's a good question. I wish I had known that question before so I could think about it, but yeah.
That's part of the fun.
I'm thinking that I was always I was at the San Francisco Law School graduation, and the speaker there it was a couple of years ago, and the speaker was saying the proximity to the clients, and he kept saying the proximity to the clients, the proximity to the clients. And this is what we are providing with our platform, because that proximity to the clients through our group chats and through the fact that the client can call a lawyer directly without the receptionist. And then I'm kind of morphing out of it a little bit, because actually that speaker was from a nonprofit. But sometimes the proximity to the clients is dangerous, because then the clients start abusing you as well. So, and I'm thinking really to keeping that right balance, where the clients don't really think of you, and then think of you as like their friend, but actually a legal professional and an officer of the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it might be a difficult concept to grasp, and it's not that important. But if you do that in marketing and in like client management, that it's like proximate, but not that close, and still professional, but not far away, and then and not reachable.
Mm-hmm.
So, like finding that balance where clients, and then that way, then clients would really respect and would pay and would not drop out and would refer you to their friends. So that's what came to my mind.
Yeah, no, that's, I love that. And that's tough. That is a tough balance. I think, I like how you said that, because it's something I'm also always, struggling with. I tend to be the kind of person that I want to be friends with my clients. I like them all, really. I genuinely do. But you're right. We can't do that, because we still, we provide a service. We are professionals, and it's not that you want to purposely keep them away from you, but it's just, if you cross a particular line, it then may even be a conflict of interest where, so you have to keep some sort of professional kind of a wall, I suppose, between you.
Exactly. And then sometimes it's once we scale and get more clients, then clients, they stop paying, or they ask for discounts, or they just start calling you or emailing you expecting much more from you. So that's a difficult balance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's a really good insight. And I wish you the best. I really hope maybe we can have a consultation in the metaverse, just because I want to see it. I want to see your virtual office. So Mikhail, thank you for being here. Congrats on everything you've built so far with Skylex. I definitely recommend folks check it out. It's the website is skylexit.com. And obviously they can find the app on the Apple App Store, right? And they should reach out to you on LinkedIn and connect to learn more as well.
Sure.
So thank you for being here. I know you're in Brooklyn, so maybe I'll see you around. I'm in Queens, and maybe I'll see you around in New York.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Awesome episode. Really interesting. I particularly love this metaverse office scenario. I think it's so cool. I do think it's the future. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but I think, the metaverse was kind of a hip term a couple years ago, and it's, maybe you can say, cooled off a little bit. I still firmly believe in it. I think it's something that will just be part of our lives. It's not going to replace anything, but I do think it's going to be part of our lives. This sort of virtual environment that we see friends or professionals or experiences in. So it's so cool. I hope you all found this conversation interesting. Thank you so much for watching or listening wherever you are. And have a great weekend ahead of you. See you next week for probably the last show of 2024 with holidays coming up. So in the meantime, again, stay safe and peace out.